Yes, they shot up the building, and no, it wasn't the telephone company. The chief of police himself came to explain it to us and the rest of the tenants, except God's grandmother, who slept through the whole thing. It had all begun the last time a computer operator had attempted to take the Camaro off the stolen list. He hit the wrong button, so instead of deleting the entry, he bumped it up to vehicles connected with dangerous felons. So it's pretty straightforward, the chief said cheerfully. When our cruiser did a routine check of your license plate, he got a dangerous felon flag. He called for backup, that standard procedure, and during a routine deployment of personnel, there was an explosion and one of our cars was taken out by an unidentified weapon. It was an air conditioner, I wailed. Our guys didn't know that. They were going strictly by the book. Anyway, don't worry, folks. It was our mistake, except for the air conditioner. We're really sorry about that, quavered Don. It was an accident. We were just trying to get the window open so we could explain about the phone calls. The chief grinned. Oh yeah, the phone calls. We don't send the SWAT team to check out crank calls. The phone company uses the Air Force. And he walked away, laughing. Ours was the only apartment that had sustained any damage. The police offered to set us up at a hotel, but since only our bathroom had been hit, we decided to stay put. Unbelievably, the air conditioner was still in great shape, but we didn't have a window to put it in. Eventually, the other tenants tired of the excitement and went back to bed. We followed them upstairs to find Root Beer scrapping his chemistry set. I'm disappointed, was his only comment. Sleep would not come, so we lay awake, listening to the Phantom raving into the phone about the night's events. Hearing about bombing the police with an air conditioner was even more ridiculous than actually doing it. If it hadn't been us, I would have recommended that the perpetrators be locked in a rubber room. We went down again to watch the sun rise over the rubble. As the first rays glinted off the shards of broken glass that lay in front of 1 Pitt Street, we saw the full extent of the damage. Stray bullets had bitten pieces out of the ancient brick and shattered the brand new show window of the deli. Don covered his eyes. If my mom calls, he moaned, tell her she's got the wrong number. There's no way I could fake a good mood today. God's grandmother went out for her morning jog, but the nearsighted old lady still hadn't noticed that anything was out of place at 1 Pitt Street. She just muttered something about poor street cleaning as her sneakers crunched over the broken glass. I stood forlornly in the wreckage of my restaurant. With my meat fork, I absently pried a bullet out of the torpedo salami. It had once proudly hung in the show window, center of interest of the string of prepared meats. They shot my salami, I said to no one. The telephone rang, so I put down the carcass and went to answer it. So, Mr. Cardone, how's my restaurant? Kinda slow this morning, I managed. A better answer would have been, what restaurant? But how could I tell this poor sick old man that he'd been right all along? He was out of business. Slow? How slow? Your gorilla friend is chasing away my customers? Don't worry, I said. Last night it was really hectic. Understatement. You're a good boy, Mr. Cardone. That hurt more than an insult. It was the first civil word he'd ever said to me, and the first time I hadn't deserved it. I hung up feeling even lower than before. Don pulled by, turned, and parked the Camaro, carefully avoiding the broken glass. He got out carrying a large bag from a 24-hour drugstore. Soap, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and toilet paper, he announced. All the stuff they shot. I could hear him perfectly. Only air separated the deli and the street. I thought I told you to push that car over a cliff, I said bitterly. Don shrugged. Couldn't find one high enough. He and Ferguson were united for the first time all summer in the effort to cheer me up. I doubted that even the magic of Ferguson Peach super genius could accomplish that. Don came over and put a hand on my shoulder. "Forget it," he said comfortingly. "At least nobody got hurt. That's pretty amazing." "I guess," I mumbled, "but we put the poor guy in the hospital, blew up his building, and now we have to walk out on him because there's nothing else we can do." "Sure there is," said Don. "We can clean this up, no sweat." I looked at him in disgust. There are times when being an optimist is just plain stupid. Look at this place! I wouldn't even know where to start! Root Beer entered, carefully opening and closing the door even though there was no glass in it. "Coffee!" he ordered, as though this were an ordinary morning, and flopped down in our regular booth. Weakened by the wildly ricocheting bullets, the frame collapsed under his weight, and Root Beer disappeared below seat level, his huge legs jackknifing into the air. "Well," he sighed, "no sense keeping these around." He got up and with one grunt wrenched the entire line of booths from their moorings and heaved the whole mess, 12 benches and 6 tables, out the gaping window and onto the sidewalk. I stared. There! It was that easy! Where the booths had been lay bare floor, nice and clean. All it took was a little brute strength. I looked at Root Beer and almost smiled. A lot of brute strength. Just then the Peach's voice came from inside a Plotnik's apartment behind the deli. "Hey guys, you better come in here!" I couldn't stand the suspense. "Just break it to me. Will his insurance cover it? You have to see it to believe it!" Don and I joined Ferguson in Plotnik's living room. The Peach was standing by a 2-drawer filing cabinet that stood amidst the overstuffed Victorian furniture. The grin on his face was pure unholy delight. He showed us a file 3 inches thick. On the top was scrawled, "Insurance." "He's covered?" I barely whispered. Ferguson laughed. "Enough to rebuild 10 delis. What do you want to bet he makes a profit?" That was it for me. The smile hit. My first since Mr. Nevin from the phone company had walked up to me 12 hours, or 150,000 years ago. Ferguson and Don both took the day off work, and with Root Beer's help, we completely emptied the deli. The sooner we got the work done, the less chance there was of word getting back to Plotnik that he'd had a disaster. There had been nothing in the papers, and the police were hoping to keep it that way. The whole business didn't reflect very well on them. The insurance adjuster arrived and was so happy to not have to deal with Plotnik that we settled on the spot. As part of the big cover-up, the police department was paying in full, so all we had to do was clean, fix, replace, and have the bills sent to the insurance company. "It's a pleasure working with you guys," exclaimed the adjuster in a surprised, pleased tone. "Mr. Plotnik is lucky to have you looking after his interests." "Now, we don't want him informed about this," said Ferguson. "His health is very delicate." "Hey," said the man, "no crying, no screaming, no begging, no groveling. I'll do anything you say." "Okay," said the Peach as the adjuster drove off. "I guess we now go buy Plotnik his stuff back." "Not exactly," I said. I can't describe the expression I'm pretty sure I was wearing. Suffice it to say, I was very, very excited about the rest of the summer. "What do you mean, not exactly?" asked Don suspiciously. "Get that look off your face, Jason. You're making me nervous." My leer must have deepened because now they were both scared. "Remember," warned Ferguson, "this is Plotnik's money. If you do something screwy with it, he'll track you to the end of the universe with bloodhounds." I laughed. "Trust me."